I have not loved this conversation.
This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius. I had the best words. Tolerate it. I know words. Mike Pounds.
I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation.
But there's no better word than stupid. Anonymous, really anonymous. I'm very highly educated.
One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
I had the best words. God bless the United States.
Waldorf Nation, everybody, welcome to the show. I am Jeff Waldorf. What is this? Do I have on? What is this? Dragon Squad. What is this? That's right, it's Dragon Squad. Honorary member, Dragon Squad. Johnny Pie himself has told me that. John Adirola. If you want this, of course, Shop TYT. I am not affiliated with Shop TYT, nor do I get anything from it except the occasional free shirt. Such as this. If you want this, and it's a kind of a badass shirt, you know where to go. Dragon Squad. All right. Anyway. I love it. It is pretty cool. So I appreciate the guys over at Shop TYT for that. Much appreciation. I do like to wear it around. Just got it today, actually. All right, anyway. So, look, we're a little late today. I don't know if you noticed. Those of you who are listening after the fact are like, what are you talking about? So, no, we're late. There's a good reason. My wife hit a guardrail yesterday, and we've been looking for a new car. So, I do apologize. We literally have one day to the election. Of course, random crap happens so that I don't actually end up getting a full show in. We've got some segments. I do want to talk about some stuff. She's fine. She's fine. The car is not as fine. Drivable, but we need something else. So that's what we're going to try to do. We're trying to get her a new car. Something that's a little bit more drivable than what she has. She can't even roll up the window. So this is where we're at. She can't roll up her window in the middle of winter. She's like, I'm cold. I'm not going to drive that and freeze my ass off. I get it. So we're getting her, a new car. That's what I spent half the time today doing, trying to get her, something that we can afford. So good luck on that. All right, but we're here. I'm here. I'm going to do a couple of stories for you all. And we'll do that tomorrow. Obviously, it is the day. Election day. Oh my God. It all comes down to tomorrow. And the next day, because, most of the states aren't going to be done counting. And actually, constitutionally, they've got like 35 days to do the official count. So, of course, it gets me to Donald Trump trying to already say, if tomorrow night, if he's ahead, he's going to be like, victory. I win. And guess what? Donald Trump is likely to get a big surge in in-person voting. So we've seen the surge in early voting, mostly, a lot of Democrats. I don't know how it breaks down yet. I don't have the information on how the votes have already broken down for Biden yet on the counts. They haven't been released. But we can safely assume that a lot of Democrats voted absentee, more so than Republicans, which I'm sure there are also a lot of Republican absentee votes going for Donald Trump, despite, of course, the rhetoric, because, hypocrisy and all that. But now, on tomorrow, November 3rd, we're probably going to see a huge influx of in-person voting that is going to also go to Donald Trump. Again, is it all going to go to Donald Trump? Probably not, because there still will be Democrats in line as well, Biden voters in line. And so there will be that, and I encourage anybody now, drop off your ballot, or if you're going to wait in line, there's a safe way to do it. Obviously, wear a mask, socially distance, make sure to wash your hands, don't get into verbal altercations with Trump supporters inside, all that stuff. And, you should be able to get in, get out, at least in the inside portion. Understandable that with Republican voter suppression, you could be in line for a long time. That's not where the danger is the highest for coronavirus. It's actually inside. But if you get in and you know what you're going to vote for, you know what you need to do, you've already looked at a sample ballot, you should be able to get in and out without too much fuss and avoid the Rona. So this is looking a lot like 2008 when Obama won. Let's hope Donald Trump wants to cheat as always. Well, of course he wants to. What's important here is whether or not he could get away with it. If the race is close, and as I've been saying this for a while, if the race is close, then yeah, it is more likely that Donald Trump would be able to get away with being able to cheat it. That said, if it's a blowout, Donald Trump's going to complain, and he's going to bitch and moan, and he's going to whine, and he's going to scream fake news, fake elections, fake ballots, all that stuff. But the bigger Biden's lead is, the more, and really, you're looking at the public reaction here, okay? Is the public going to believe it, that Biden did a landslide? Likely. Will there be Trump supporters that will not believe it? Obviously, of course. But remember, there was a big subset of Republicans who also never believed that Obama had won the presidency as well. That's what's kind of spawned the whole birther movement. Oh, he's not really an American, so he could have never, won the election. He's an illegitimate president, and you heard that rhetoric all throughout the Obama administration, but it never stopped Obama from being able to take power. And so that's what I'm hoping happens now. Nonetheless, the story we're going to talk about first is how Donald Trump is starting to turn the White House into a fortress to protect himself. He's going back in the bunker, everybody. So watch out. In fact, let's dive into that story. Fun times. President Donald Trump won 2016 with the promise of building a big, beautiful wall on the Mexican border. Now, in 2020, he's actually building a wall. But it's a different kind of wall. One that happens to be around the White House. Now, this is according to NBC News' Jeff Bennett, who wrote this. A federal law enforcement source tells NBC News that beginning tomorrow, which is today, crews will build a non-scalable fence to secure the White House complex, Ellipse, and Lafayette Square. Not only that, but 250 National Guardsmen have been put on standby, reporting to Metro police officials. So you've got a non-scalable fence that is going up around the White House because, of course, to keep the black people out. Look, if you're asking me, I think Bunker Bitch is afraid that he's going to get ripped out, dragged out of the White House if he loses and does not concede. Now, look, if he loses and decides, no, I'm just going to stay here and I'm going to squat in the White House, then yeah, you should rip him right out because he doesn't belong there. Take him out. Drag him out of the White House and shove him back into Trump Tower. where he belongs. That's if he loses the votes. That's if he loses. Obviously, if he wins, well, then America's worse than we thought, worse off than I thought. And I guess, hey, whatever, what can you do, right? But I'm wondering if this is to try to keep people out. Well, obviously, why else would you put up a non-scalable wall? He's literally afraid that, I don't know, like protests or people, dragging him out. I have no idea. Now, the report also notes that less than a month ago, Army leaders said that there was no plan to deploy troops for Election Day, but obviously that has changed. Now, at the time, Army Secretary Ryan McCarthy said at an event, quote, "We don't police American streets. There have been no requests from other agencies to support it at this time, but we're always available to support." Oh, that's nice to know. Brown shirts on demand. That said, we don't police the streets, unless, of course, it's to protect Donald Trump's dumb ass from exaggerated threats from, like, what? Black Lives Matter? Antifa? I mean, seriously. Now, remember, this has happened before. They originally put up another wall during the Black Lives Matter protests afterwards. That's when Donald Trump was rushed to the bunker and remained there, despite no protesters breaching the White House fence at the time. So after that, they put up a bunch of extra additional fencing. And then I think they took it down a little bit later. I don't quite remember how that went. Now there's a new non-scalable fence because they're apparently Donald Trump is really afraid of black people scaling the wall of BLM. I mean, it's ridiculous. Look, here's the funny thing. Well, but actually, it's not funny. But it's funny when you look at how sad and pathetic Donald Trump is. You remember, during Obama's administration, the White House was literally shot at. Like, some guy was taking pot shots at the White House itself. Bullet holes. Did Obama go in the bunker? No, Obama did not go in the bunker. In fact, the last president to go in was the last official, I should say, not president, but the official, was Dick Cheney. And that was during 9/11. All right. Yeah, that one makes sense, at least. As much as I loathe Dick Cheney, I get that one. All right, we'll give him that one for free. But Donald Trump, during a completely peaceful protest outside the White House, Trump's like, nope, heading to the bunker. Put me in the bunker. I'm going to go to the bunker. And then later on, he comes out and says, I was just inspecting the bunker. Yeah, of course. You were inspecting the bunker. Of course you were. Look, here's the question. Who in their right mind actually thinks that Donald Trump is like a strong male? He's like a strong man. Who? I mean, look, if you're one of the people that considers somebody who's never taken responsibility for anything in his entire life and only coasted off his daddy's name and his daddy's money, and if you consider that person an alpha male, a strong man, well, then I feel really, really sad for you. Like, how much propaganda do you have to swallow in order to actually believe that without even the tiniest bit of self-awareness or facts or factual information? I mean, no, he's the weakest, saddest man alive. And look, it's not as if he's even going against the establishment. I mean, he's an anti-establishment candidate. No, he's not. He's literally given the establishment billions of dollars in tax cuts. He's almost given the establishment just about everything they've ever want. The only thing is he's been a little bit rude and said bad things about them. Ooh, their feelings. Their feelings are almost as fragile as Donald Trump's, but not quite. So the establishment also has some fragile feelings, rich people, right? The Wall Street billionaires, the people who control the Democratic and Republican parties through donations. They've got some thin skin too. We'll deal with those people later, all right? With progressive politics and getting their money out of politics. We'll deal with that later. But right now, Donald Trump, has even thinner skin than the rest of those people. I mean, and so it's not that he is an anti-establishment person. Again, he increased the military budget by over $700 billion. He's a fake populist. I mean, nothing that he's done has been popular at all. At all. Look, let me give you a couple of examples. People hated his healthcare plan, okay, because it was hot garbage. It was a disaster. It was much more popular than the AC and had about, 30% support? People hate his tax plan because it's also hot garbage because it gave the rich billions of dollars in additional tax cuts. People hate his COVID response because it's killing them, literally killing them. So I don't get how he's taken on the establishment. He's not. Policy-wise, he's helping the establishment get richer. And the only thing that bothers them is the fact that he's rude about it and he says coarse things. In reality, look, Donald Trump is weak. He's sad. He's pathetic. He's a baby. And most importantly, he's using his fans to pay his bills. Why? Because he's a shitty businessman. How do I know that? Well, look, it doesn't take a genius to look this up. To understand, don't look at his bankruptcies as much. And I feel like we fall into the trap of looking at just his bankruptcies. There's such a thing as a strategic bankruptcy. I get that, right? So there are ways where you can, declare bankruptcy and still can keep your businesses, can still pay your employees, etc. Chapter 11 is an example of that. It's not just the bankruptcies, though. Look at his businesses now, or even before COVID. These businesses have been hemorrhaging money. You look at the tax returns that have been released, the leaks. Those tax returns will show a business empire that is hemorrhaging, that is leaking money like a sieve. It's a disaster. And it's only through taxpayer money getting funded to places like Mar-a-Lago that Donald Trump has not went completely broke. Once he loses that, and this is probably one of the reasons that he wants to hold on to the presidency so badly, because once these bills come due, he's not going to be able to divert taxpayer money to go and pay them. And so this guy's going to get broke. He's going to go broke. He's going to become destitute very soon, and probably, ironically, go bankrupt again, because he can't manage his businesses out of he can't manage his way out of a paper bag, much less a business, much less the country. The last 4 years should have proven that quite well. Let's not give him another 4. All right. That's fairly. That's all I have to say about that one. Okay. Got a couple more here. He's also funneling monies to his businesses. You're absolutely right. Because of so many losses. And again, what is it? He had nearly $1 billion in losses. So much so that he didn't have to pay taxes for the next 10 years. What a failure. What a sad, just disastrous businessman. Okay. Let's move on. Just had to add a little bit to that. All right.
Don't tell anybody, but let me wait till a little bit after the election. I appreciate the advice. I appreciate it. No, he's been wrong on a lot. He's a nice man, though. He's been wrong on a lot.
That was President Donald Trump joking to his audience, I think, that he might fire Dr. Anthony Fauci if he gets reelected. So, no, but he's a nice guy. He's such a nice guy, but he's wrong about everything. No, you're wrong about everything related to the virus. You're the one who said it would go away. You're the one who said it would disappear. You're the one who keeps saying that we're going around the bend. We're turning the corner. We're turning the corner into more COVID. 99,000 cases in one day. We're spiking, going up, not a good thing. You must be confusing this with the fucking stock market. Okay? Now, you can see Donald Trump made the comment to a crowd of his supporters in Florida on Sunday, who were apparently unhappy that Dr. Anthony Fauci uses science and facts, which happen to contradict their supreme cult leader. In an interview last week, Fauci said after 99,000 Americans contracted the virus and over 230,000 have been reported killed, died from the virus, I should say, he said this. This is his criticism. This is why Donald Trump is going to war with Dr. Fauci. Quote, "We're in for a whole lot of hurt. It's not a good situation. All the stars are aligned in the wrong places you go into the fall and winter season. With people congregating at home indoors, you could not be possibly positioned more poorly." That, notice how it didn't mention Donald Trump. Notice that it didn't, really directly name the administration as being at fault. It just says, we're going in the wrong direction. We should stop gathering and congregating indoors. We're going in the wrong direction, which implies that we could go to the right direction if we actually don't do those things. Yet, the White House was so incredibly triggered by this that White House spokesperson Judd Deere told the New York Times that Fauci's comments were quote-unquote unacceptable and broke all norms. Quote, "Fauci made his political leanings known by praising the president's opponent. Exactly what the American people have come to expect from the swamp." Now, what that's about is that Fauci's like, oh, Biden believes in science. And so he actually wants to do the right thing. Now, wait. If Donald Trump were doing the right thing, not only would the coronavirus deaths be lower, and yes, I understand that people on the left will still criticize him for that. I get it. But the coronavirus levels, would be lower. The deaths would be lower. And the economy would actually be better. We might actually have been over this, at least into a downward trajectory, at least maybe, very, very few cases, very, very few lockdowns, very targeted lockdowns like you're doing in other countries. And so we would have an economy that was a little bit better than it is right now. That would be to Donald Trump's benefit, not what's happening right now, which you're prematurely opening things up, but there are people that still don't want to go out there and do that. And even if they do, thanks to the lack of stimulus, thanks to Mitch McConnell mostly, people are unable to do that. And so that's a disaster of Republican making. Nonetheless, they're going to go after Dr. Fauci for basically just being the messenger. And look, is Biden taking this seriously? I believe he is. I believe he is. Because he says, I am actually going to listen to the science on COVID. I wish he would listen to the science on fracking, but hey, one thing at a time. All right? But look, the White House clearly sidelined Fauci because Fauci basically said, wear a mask, socially distance, do contact tracing, and do, if you find a bunch of cases, a cluster, you do a targeted lockdown. That is basically the common sense position. That is the position of, hey, we're going to do our best. Right now, we don't have we don't really have effective treatments as far as we know. We have some treatments, yes, but do we have a vaccine? No, not yet, and we're not going to have one for a while. And so what we need to do is we need to operate in this way to try to reduce the amount of transmission the best that we can so that right now we can save American lives. I thought they were all about saving American lives. I thought conservatives, I thought the Republican Party was really, really angry when it came to things like Benghazi, when it came to things like 9/11. Everybody was angry about 9/11, right? Well, 3,000 people died versus over 230,000 1,000 people. And that's, of course, understand that there were probably going to be 40 to 50,000 people that have died, that would have died from this virus anyway in this amount of time. You understand that 230,000 versus 40 to 50,000, that's a big jump. It's a big increase. That's a lot of needless death under Donald Trump because he doesn't care about the science. And that's the problem here. That is the problem. You have to be willing to do tough decisions when you're president, and yes, economically unpopular decisions, in order to do what's best for the country, for the nation at large, for your own constituents. Donald Trump is unable to do that. He is unable because all he does is go out and tell people exactly what they want to hear so that he can continue to funnel taxpayer money to himself and his businesses and his family. And that's really it. I mean, the Trump administration has done basically next to nothing. I mean, we had some sort of quasi-lockdown for a short time, for a few weeks, and then the administration just let the states do whatever. Yes, there were guidelines, but these guidelines were routinely ignored by the administration itself. It wasn't until after Trump got COVID that he started to kind of wear masks around a little bit more, and even then, after that, was still making fun of Biden for wearing masks. So he's learned absolutely nothing. And so what Fauci does is he makes the most obvious observation that, hey, we're doing pretty bad. We're kind of going in the wrong direction, guys. Well, you can't argue that that's not true. As of Sunday night, more than 9.2 million Americans have contracted COVID-19 and more than 230,000 have died from the virus. More to come if we don't actually do anything about it. And all the suggestions that Fauci has made, Trump doesn't want to do. Because, look, maybe he actually believed that this thing would go away. And he could run on the economy. And look, to be honest, if coronavirus hadn't happened, I think Joe Biden would have faced a much more difficult, possibly losing election bid. I really do believe that. I believe that COVID was an absolute game changer, depending on what, of course, happens in this election on November 3rd. But I think that because of COVID and because of the disastrous response from the Trump administration, and of course the economic fallout as a result of that, Biden has a lot better of a chance to win the election now than he did before. That sucks for you, Donald. I mean, that doesn't bother me at all because I think Donald Trump's an absolute disaster. But if you're Donald Trump, you really missed the boat. Because if you had done something, if you had done the right things and mitigated the way that it should have been mitigated, then it's very likely that the American people would have actually voted to reelect you. Strangely enough as it is. But he didn't. And, well, I mean, look, that's his mistake politically. And look, understand that I voted for Joe Biden and I have no love for Donald Trump. I also have no love for Joe Biden. But there's that. But again, he thought, oh, the virus is going to go away. It's going to go away. But it didn't go away. It's still here. The virus is still here. It's still killing people. It's still having a gigantic negative impact on the economy. Less so, of course, on Wall Street because the Federal Reserve is literally pumping trillions of dollars into it of liquidity. And so they're doing better. But mainstream is not. And it turns out the people on Main Street happen to be voters that you want to get on your side. And I can guarantee there's a lot of working people out there that are saying things aren't going so great under Donald Trump. Am I better off than I was 4 years ago? Not really. Unless, of course, you get there's a Jordan Klepper segment that I won't forget where he asked a Trump supporter, hey, you doing better than you are 4 years ago? And he's like, yeah, I'm making tons of money. Well, what do you work for? Debt collection company. If that really doesn't show you where, who is actually benefiting under Donald Trump versus those who are not, the reality, the state of the country under President Trump, under this administration, I don't think anything else will. And look, if you do think things are doing great for you, but you're not seeing it economically, well, it's probably because you've probably been brainwashed by conservative propaganda, which look, in that case, it might take some time, but we can sure pull you out of it, unless you're a member of QAnon, which at that point, ain't nobody saving you. Ain't nobody can save you. But the worst thing about this that you can pull from this is that the fact that that Trump and the administration are going to keep going in the direction of Dr. Scott Atlas. Now, Dr. Atlas is pushing the administration to basically adopt herd immunity. Now, herd immunity, the effect of that would mean over 1 million, possibly more, Americans dead by the end of this. Possibly more. There are studies that come out that herd immunity might not even work. I mean, the fact that antibodies disappear after a few months. So if they're gone, then you can't really become immune to it, and you can be reinfected by this virus, which could mean that every year this could be a recurring virus, which is also very difficult when you're trying to come up with a vaccine. And so you've also got high rates of mutation in this virus because it's been spreading so prolifically. It's just not a good situation, and really, we really could use somebody who trusts the scientists and doesn't try to push this disastrous herd immunity stuff. So, but again, Trump doesn't care. He's telling you, he didn't give a damn about you. A lot of Trump supporters, a lot of them are 65 plus and have pre-existing conditions, and you are the ones that will end up dying. You're not going to get airlifted to Walter Reed. You're not going to get the best experimental medication that American, taxpayer money can buy. No. You're going to end up waiting in lines when the hospitals are overrun. And you might not get the care because maybe some 30-year-olds have it, and they end up having to go on a respirator, and you won't be able to. Because they're going to start picking and choosing. You think Obamacare's got the death panels. Just wait. Just wait till COVID's got you. Despite what they might believe, they are not immune. But it's not even that. Look, if they want to throw away their lives, that's fine. But the fact that they're going to infect others and kill some others as a result, that's not fine. That's where decent people draw the line. And so Trump and some of his supporters that are not decent people. And if you're voting for him, especially if you're voting for him and enthusiastically supporting him, then I'm guessing you're not a decent person either. That's my opinion. All right. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back. We'll have a final story here. A lot of people wanted me to talk about this over the weekend, and that is the Trump bus. I'm sorry, the Biden bus getting menaced by Trump supporters. So we're going to talk about that right after this break, and then round out the show, and I'll take your comments and all that stuff for a while too. So stay right here around the nation.
I will eat your ass.
It's like a shark, NATO, except with poop.
Wait, you're getting nervous, man.
Welcome back to the show, Around the Nation, right here, Waldorf Nation. Jeff Waldorf here with you. Are we getting a little nervous, man? Yeah, actually, we kind of are. I'm a little nervous, actually, what's going to happen tomorrow, which I'm sure a lot of you are as well. So, that said, before we get to the final story here, I just want to thank some patrons and some channel members. I know I have been a little bit lax on doing that, and I, of course, need to do a little bit better. So let me do that. First, I'll link you in the chat to show how you can support the show, how you can keep independent progressive media alive and kicking. We're going to need it for the next 4 years, whether or not we have a Trump administration part 2, or if we can finally change gears into a Biden administration and actually begin to fight for progressive policy. So we're going to change from fighting Republicans tooth and nail to fighting against the establishment Democrats tooth and nail, not for survival, or I should say not just for survival, but for, progressive policy as well, which in a lot of cases I think also means survival. That said, channel members. You can become a channel member by hitting the join button below. And I want to thank Gladiator for doing so, and Christy Sparkman. So, Gladiator, Christy, thank you for becoming channel members and helping independent progressive media. And then let's go to Patreon, patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. I want to thank Jeff James and Becca Ringo. So, thank you. Much appreciation. Mithro says, I feel as stable as an arsonist in a fireworks factory. Are you the arsonist? I don't know, James Williams. That's really up to you. Like button, people. Yes, like and share. Very important. Debbie says, I've been in a state of anxiety for 4 years. I don't blame you on that. I think we've all been at this point. Did I hear that Vosh wants to talk to me? Yes, I did. I would be more than happy. I've actually reached out to Vosh in order to talk to him. There's a lot of people on the online left that are very mad, and that makes me very interested. So I want to talk about that. Yes, I've been reaching out to him. I know he's a very, very, very busy man, trying to turn all those right-wingers towards the left. I think that's fantastic. And so I look forward to that. So of having a conversation. They're mad because he's right. Yeah, for sure. No, I find that he and I agree a lot on our politics. Even though I'm more of a soc dem. But I could be changed from a soc dem to a socialist. I don't know. I just have to hear the right arguments. I'm all about data here. I'm all about analysis. I'm all about facts. So should be an interesting conversation whenever we're getting to that. All right. So Veggie Godzilla asks, where is that I will eat your ass soundbite from? It's from Alex Jones. Alex Jones did a segment where he says that he is willing and prepared to eat his neighbor. No, I'm not kidding. I did that segment, I don't know, a long time ago. God, it was months ago. Maybe it was like a month ago. I can't even keep track anymore. But yeah, it was a segment where Alex Jones admits that he's going to eat his neighbor. Yeah, you guys remember. You guys remember. Can't wait to hear you talk about big ideas. Let's see. Check out corporate aesthetics. I can't say that. Capitalists are bad at business. I think I became a socialist after watching it. Yeah, I mean, what about the llamas? Aesthetic. Okay, here we go. Corporate aesthetic. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Again, I might actually be like, I don't know. I'm bad at labels, because I have a lot of differing beliefs. But I think I'm more, I mean, you could say that I'm soc dem, or you could even put me as like a more of a libertarian socialist. I don't necessarily know where I fall on the spectrum quite yet. So that should be interesting. Again, if I hear and see a good fact-based, like statistic that shows that, hey, this is better than the other, worker co-ops. Totally. I'm totally in favor of worker co-ops. I think that's actually an excellent idea. Is there a perfect system? No, not necessarily. But is it better? Is it actually more democratic? Is it better to have a democratic workplace? It absolutely is. I think it is. Because I've been a worker. I've worked in the factories before. I, made hitch plates for trucks. And no, like, I didn't really care about the company. I had no stake in it. Boss makes $1, I make a dime. That's why I shit on company time. So, I think that if I had a stake in the company, and I think it also depends on age and maturity level too, but if you have a stake in the company, and I think that the longer you work at a company, the bigger your share becomes. I think that's also like a meritocratic way, because like you put in more time to your company, you get more of a return from putting in that time. And it kind of gives you, like a reason to invest in invest your labor into the company as well. Because you get more of a share, but it only gets to a certain point. Again, you would have to really parse out the details in like a bigger company, if it'd be, how it would work out in a much larger kind of corporate structure, or larger structure itself. Because I don't even know if corporations would really exist in the same kind of fashion as they would under worker. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. There's a lot of stuff to really parse and dive into the details about when it comes to that kind of stuff. But that's the sort of high level discussion that I want to have. These are the big ideas, not like Dave Rubin big ideas where your brain needs to go in recovery mode. No, we're talking about real ideas, good ideas. And so that's why I'm interested in talking to someone like Vaush, who does have the ability to look at some of these ideas and to kind of really expand on it and think about ways of approaching that and ways of doing that a lot of people haven't thought of before. Yes, Dragon Squad shirt. Shop TYT. That's how you can get one. Aaron Pimentel, I work for an employee-owned consulting company of a few hundred people, 7 years to become fully vested. There you go. That's the kind of model, and it already exists, and it's not like something that's crazy and off the cuff. No, it actually exists. We can just do it. All right. Anyway, let's move on. James Williams, yes. Work for a robot company, small business, and Amazon, and I'll never work. And I work for a co-op work now, and I'll never go back to traditional business. It's because you actually feel like you're valued there, and that was one of the problems that I always had working at all these different companies, is they never see your value as a worker. You were disposable. You were a cog in their machine, and you can be easily switched out for another cog. And so they don't value the workers, and when you don't value the workers, you treat them like garbage, because they are replaceable. It is a shame that it's an exception and not the rule. Absolutely. Okay. Anyway. Am I nervous? About what? Oh, about the election. It's a good question. A little bit. You look at the polls, and the polls are going pretty well for Biden. But again, there's the objective reality of, like, is it really going to turn out the way the polls suggest? Is it, though? How much of a variance are we going to see? Is it objectively better? Are we in an objectively better position than Hillary Clinton was back in 2016? I would say yes, But then I think, look, 2016 broke a lot of brains, mine kind of included. Oh, hey, I'm sorry for not like giving a lot of attention to Twitch here. Let's see. Hello, Uper Gardner, S. Bloom, Sensible Streamer, all those joining us on Twitch, Crazy Hawaii, Hawaiian and PA. Thank you, Dragon Squad, represent. Loving it. I really love how you're, in the chat. Thank you for joining me. All right. Now let's move on. We got the last story here. We're going to talk about the MAGA menace in Texas. Last week, a caravan of trucks and SUVs that were flying a bunch of Trump flags converged on a Biden campaign bus in Texas, menacing them, which prompted an investigation by the FBI. Now, the bus was traveling from Austin to San Antonio on Interstate 35 when it was surrounded by a convoy of Trump trucks and cars. There's some video of that. Let's take a look.
Running them out of Texas. It is hilarious. I'm about to run out of gas, which I'm sure some of you would love. Look at that. Oh my God.
Oops. Damn. So look, do I think it's a bad thing that Trump people will go and deck out their cars with flags and stuff and drive around? I don't really care. Is it weird that they get into giant convoys and then start going after Biden buses? Yes, I do think that is a little bit of a problem when that happens. So now the Biden campaign said, according to CNN, there were nearly 100 vehicles around the campaign bus and that it was forced to slow down from highway speeds to just 20 miles an hour. Staffers ended up calling the police during the incident, and Texas Democrats canceled 3 events scheduled for later in that day because they were concerned about the safety of people on board. So now Biden and Harris were not on board the bus, but nonetheless, there were staffers and surrogates that were, and they were naturally concerned because they pretty much just got forced off the road by a bunch of Trump supporters. And you saw, not all those Trump supporters apparently know how to drive. So, in fact, Texas State Representative Cheryl Cole, a Democrat running for re-election, here's what they tweeted. Pro-Trump protesters have escalated well beyond safe limits. Now, that said, Donald Trump saw this. Here's what he said. He retweeted this video and said, "I love Texas. I love Texas." Yeah. Here's the president of the United States being totally okay with stochastic terrorism. What, you don't think you think that's too harsh to call it terrorism? What else were they trying to do? They're trying to terrorize people on the bus, the Democrats. Now, in case you're wondering, well, what's so scary about that? Imagine yourself surrounded by a bunch of trucks a bunch of Priuses with a bunch of Biden-Harris flags with BLM stickers all over them, a whole caravan. If it sounds ridiculous, it is, because we don't do this, right? Because liberals don't do that. But it's ridiculous. But I'm pretty sure that if you had a Trump bus that were surrounded by that, conservative media would be, they'd be losing. Oh my God, look at the BLM and Antifa, they're trying to kill us. You got people out there talking about how, milkshakes are being used as deadly weapons against right-wing protesters. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. No, there was no other reason to do this than to try to intimidate the staffer that worked for Biden. And maybe, look, somebody just asked, in the chat, what if Biden and Harris were on the bus? Well, it'd be the same issue. They're trying to menace people. And that's the problem. And so that's really the difference, right? It's never really the libs that are out there scaring people away from, for example, polling sites. Whereas you have conservatives that use fear tactics to try to get people to not vote. You also have people, that are so-called poll watchers that are just people with weapons trying to intimidate voters. And look, while there are issues with liberals suppressing the vote to progressives, during the primary elections in different ways, for example, using scheduling and, procedural tricks and all that kind of stuff, it's not the same. It's not the same thing. You have conservatives, you have right-wingers that are out there literally threatening harm to people, making them afraid of driving around, making them afraid of going to the polls and voting and all that stuff. And so it is a completely different situation. That said, the interesting thing here is the politics about it. I know, of course, we're a political show. Of course, we're going to talk about the politics of it. What would drive people to do this? I think they're scared of a Biden win. I mean, they're not afraid of the people in the bus, but they kind of are. I mean, the people in the bus were also afraid because they were being menaced, but the people out there, I think they're afraid of what a political win would mean for them. I mean, Trump supporters in Texas, they're scared that Donald Trump will lose. And they've been fed all this propaganda, all this, stuff about Democrats. Oh, they're going to come for your guns. Look, I'm actually okay with guns. I don't have an issue. As long as you're trained and licensed how to use it, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, own a gun. I don't really care. But as far as going house to take away your guns, no, that's ridiculous. It's never going to happen. American gun culture is far too strong. It would never abide for something like that, and I wouldn't advocate for something like that. So that's not going to happen. Again, remember, Republicans sat there and told you for 8 years, Obama couldn't take your guns. He's going to take your guns. Then he's going to force you to live in hobbit homes, which never happened. That's the kind of conspiracy stuff that you hear from right-wingers, that you hear from Republicans. It's never true. It's never true. Look, the worst thing is that Biden's going to do some more minor regulation on business and then raise their taxes a little bit. And if you're making over $400,000, you're going to have your taxes raised. That's the worst that Joe Biden's going to do. That's it. Nonetheless, they've drunk the Kool-Aid. But as far as Texas is concerned, it is interesting that this happened in Texas, where Trump only leads Biden by 1.5 percentage points. Now, do I think that Joe Biden's going to win Texas? I think it's very close. I think maybe it can go either way. Donald Trump will barely edge out Biden in Texas, which will actually be a pretty big deal because Texas no longer solidly, reliably red, now turning purple. And then, and by the way, it is something that I kind of predicted, five years ago? 6 maybe? That eventually Texas is going to be blue in one of these elections. But that said, right, could also go to Biden by a small margin, and that would also be gigantic. But I don't know. But to see that the fear of that happening is enough to send MAGA chuds into a frothing rage. And now they're doing fear tactics against liberal voters and obviously the campaign. I mean, wouldn't it be something, though, if Biden did take Texas? After all, recent news on that. Federal judge rejected Texas Republicans' bid to toss out over 100,000 ballots. So 127,000 ballots that were contested, they decided, no, we're not going to throw those out. We're going to allow those to stay in. So they might be afraid of that. But let me tell you, fear makes people act out in dangerous, unpredictable ways. When the amount of fear that gets pumped into conservative brains by right-wing media, I'm concerned that there are going to be, some of them might end up being moved to violence especially when egged on by the President of the United States. I think if Biden wins, a lot of people are going to be primed to believe that it only happened because of widespread rampant voter fraud. That Donald Trump had the election, stolen from him by completely legitimate mail-in ballots that Republicans and Democrats have been used without issue for decades. But now, because more people want to use them, i.e. more Democrats, now they're bad. And so now they're bad, now they're fraudulent, now they're the worst because Donald Trump doesn't like them. But as I said before, fear makes people irrational. And so that's what we're seeing. We're just seeing a completely irrational, reactionary party from the Republicans. They used to actually stand for something. Now they don't. They're completely reactionary and are basically only there to funnel money to the rich. That's the only use for them. And so, look, this is dangerous. And I think the next few days, the next week, possibly longer, it's going to be really, really tough to get through, regardless of who wins. Obviously, if Donald Trump wins, well, that's a whole new set of problems. But even if Joe Biden wins, there's still going to be quite a bit of problems. These people are not going away. MAGA people are not going to disappear magically. And the problems inherent in this country are not going to go away. So all I can do is hope that when the ballots are counted, that Donald Trump leaves office, leaves peacefully, and encourages his followers to stand down. If not, I am concerned about what's going to happen. All right. Oh, did we do an hour already? I did not have an hour planned. That's crazy. All right. Why does the Trump campaign keep playing songs synonymous with gay people? It's because gay people are excellent artists. I'm just saying. They make excellent music. No. Okay. No, I don't know. I really actually don't know the reason they do that. It is pretty funny, though. Let's see. I wish I had your optimism. I know. We already know what Trump will say. He said it to a special group of boys last time. Indeed. Republicans are outnumbered, but unlike a huge portion of the American population, they all vote. Indeed. White people have color too. Pink. Okay. Yeah, I think it'd be awesome to live in a Hobbit home. Those are nice. And then have second breakfast. Sign me up. I love second breakfast. Hell yes. But apparently conservatives, not a fan of second breakfast. Sad. All right. Anyway, thank you for going around the nation with me today. Thank you for tuning in for the late-ass stream. Appreciate it. We're going to have some fun tomorrow with the election. Hopefully, I'll get everything that works. But we're going to try something that is going to be both frustrating and magnificent at the same time. I am going to try to game and do election results at the same time. And I will not be doing it alone. So, hopefully. That should be interesting. That should be fun. It should be full of technical errors. Tune in for that train wreck because it's going to be awesome. And not just that train wreck, but the election train wreck too. So, all right. Thank you all. Love you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. See you tomorrow. One more day. One more day.
Please clap.
Tighten up my knees. I like my knees tight. With sharp NATO except with Putin.
I have not loved this conversation.
Silence.
They're kicking me out the door.